I believe we can open the panel. We discussed already a lot of questions during the day. I see that we had, so when you saw the agenda, the question is how to combine all those questions, but I had the impression that we had a very good circle now here with at the end with the liability question, and we started with the robotics, with AI, and now it's open for the audience for questions and discussion. Maybe it's not a question, maybe somebody would like to add something here. Volker.
All right. All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. We hear you.
That's fine. That's fine. Hello. First of all, thanks to all the speakers for the excellent presentations. Of course, I would just have quite a specific question again directed to Dr. Ziel. Did I understand you correctly that currently you are abstaining from initial certification audits on the basis of the MDCG document, which primarily refers to audits under the current directives, and that you only perform initial certification audits under the MDR under really exceptional circumstances? Or what is your current interpretation of the application of the MDCG document on the alternatives for audits?
Okay.
Did you get me?
Yeah. Okay. I can only speak for MedCert right now, of course. This means initial certification audits under the MDD, for example, because a lot of potential customers are asking us right now, would always mean that we have to go after the Corona crisis on site. And but I explained that after the Corona crisis, we have so many other tasks to do. I mean, to follow up with unannounced audits and to follow up with on-site audits, which we previously done remotely. We do not have the capacity to do initial audits for new clients under the MDD. The second part of your question is regarding, are we doing initial audits under the MDR? Yes, we are doing this, but only for existing customers, and if we can go on site. I mean, when Corona started in March, of course, we were not allowed even to travel to, I would say, to Munich or to Frankfurt. This of course now is possible. So we can do initial MDR audits for existing clients in Germany, and hopefully maybe in the very few weeks also in Europe. But I mean,
on site.
Yes. If it is allowed. But I mean, we have a lot of clients also outside of Europe, in Israel, in China, and in US, for example. This is not possible at the moment.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, and then we have a further question of Martin Sluchern.
Yes, thank you very much. I have again a question to Mr. Ziel. Yeah, I saw your presentation that this huge stockpiling of expected switchings to MDR in 2024. I know you can speak mostly in the name of your notified body, but what is your personal opinion about the perspective for the whole industry? Are we going to make it?
We can make it if the industry is well prepared and starting the transfer process early enough.
Yeah, well, with this preparation, I can see it may be challenging because I can see from our several partners that they are struggling with things like clinical evidence. So, yeah, maybe challenging.
It will be.
Okay, thank you very much.
So these are the questions.
I would have a question to Dina Toxius, or actually two questions. One is in the beginning of your talk, you mentioned the term critical infrastructure. In view of digital product and medical device, is there a certain definition of that term? When does it become critical? Is that written down somewhere, or is that a definition that you use internally? And where could one find this? And the second question is more a question of service. You mentioned that BSI is developing technical guidance and recommendations papers. Now, knowing myself, there's a lot of new documents and papers and guidelines from the Medical Device Coordination Group and on the EU level coming up all the time. Knowing myself, I know that sometimes I miss these documents. I don't see them when they're really new. So is there a service by BSI? Can I subscribe to your newsletter and you inform people when something new is put on your homepage? Or would I have to check your homepage every week to find something new as things are evolving?
Yeah, you see me smiling already. We at least currently, I can say we don't have kind of a service to generally inform people, which is not completely the truth. So there are instances, for example, working groups in terms of the critical infrastructures. I will go back to that, but this is the connection. So there are working groups or groups in place that are defining such things and exchanging those documents. But till now, the BSI is not really a platform for that. But we have the Alliance for Cybersecurity, for example, and there you find several documents, but you are not proactively, let's say, provided with that. So we are not a document provider. Sometimes we are upon request if we want to exchange knowledge for sure, but not as a general service. Coming to your second or first question regarding critical infrastructures, we have lots of fields of responsibilities and we are covering, as I said, all fields of digitalization. I could have talked about legislation and the BSI in a separate talk. So the BSI cybersecurity law defines or has or poses some duties on critical infrastructure. So in the healthcare system, we see all healthcare providers, hospitals, centers, physicians as critical infrastructures in principle. This law has a certain paragraph, so my section is not responsible for critical infrastructures, but for cybersecurity in the healthcare sector. So I can just briefly touch this field. It's the responsibility of my colleagues in another section. So the definition says in this law that all hospitals that exceed a yearly number of 30,000 patients per year have to act according to this CRITIS law, which is in the BSI cybersecurity law. So they have to report to us if there is some IT security issue, for example.
Okay, thank you.
And I think they have to fulfill certain audits, but I'm not an expert in that field, but it's written, as you asked for that, it is written in the cybersecurity law.
Okay, if maybe, so when there's no further question, I don't see any further question.
I see a raised hand by Volker Spitzenberger. I wonder
It's
if
still
you
the same hand, or isn't it?
or
Volker, do you have an additional question, or is it still the hand for the first question?
no more questions, he writes in the chat.
Okay, great. So maybe we can use the last minute for a conclusion. And we discussed a lot of things with regard to regulatory framework legislation. But today, a lot of our presentations are also linked with the current situation. The best example is that we now sit here and conduct this event online. So I would like to know how or what do you think, what will be or remain after this crisis, so post-crisis, what was an advantage? Because we talked a lot about digitalization. And so I will start with Mr. Hofer. What do you believe, maybe especially with regard to apps, what will be the outcome, the positive outcome, whenever that can be defined as a positive outcome? But I try to stay optimistic. And so far, what would be a thing which would remain after the crisis?
I strongly believe that the crisis will contribute to this, digital development. Mm-hmm. So what we've experienced, and there are already some numbers on that. As we know, most HCPs were, for example, very reluctant when it comes to remote patient monitoring and consultancy services, things like mm-hmm. that. Very, very, very reluctant. And all of a sudden now, with having a reimbursement possibility and having, experiencing that Zoom is actually working, okay, mm-hmm. I mean, from a data privacy perspective, perhaps not ideal for a HCP-patient relationship, but there are other tools that are compliant. So I think that is something that will hopefully stay and remain and further develop, that we see advantages and remote patient monitoring, treatment, and see really the benefit of the digital technologies, not as a, as replacing something, mm-hmm. just as a supplement to the personal relationship. That's my hope.
Yes. Okay. I believe the same. Thank you. So, Ms. Truxius, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree on those arguments that I just heard before. And I see video conferences in general as a good tool to have conferences or to really have meetings also on an international basis. So what I experienced, people and also security authorities or agencies are more open towards such systems, and they do see the benefit. Mm-hmm. And which also proves that it's definitely possible to work remotely, to adapt to the digitalization, to be time and place independent in your working, and that you can remotely connect with colleagues or manufacturers or hackers, for example, in my case. Yeah. And as we just discussed here, medical topics, I guess this will also have an impact on telemedical approaches, probably. It is definitely beneficial to have secure video transmission and communication platforms, but I'm not exclusively talking for the healthcare sector. I hope that cybersecurity has its place and will be regarded, and that there is awareness, or that there stays some awareness for ID security. You do see a need that people really take care about more data privacy and data security. We do see lots of laws, and I think this is corroborating these trends I mentioned in politics to move towards digitization. And for medical devices, I expect more network devices. The benefit is definitely clearly visible from operating with connected devices, but nonetheless you have to take cybersecurity into account in order to operate them safely and securely.
Yes.
So these are in brief this is in brief what comes into my mind. Thank you.
But I'm happy that we have a lot of things which could be also interpreted on a positive basis, and so far it's a good idea to do that. So, Mr. Ziel, what do you believe, or is it everything? It's easier post-Corona.
I mean, we are trained and we have experience to being on site, but right now under this crisis situation, we have to deal with remote audits. So we get experience what is possible, but we also get experience what is not possible. Mm-hmm. You know, and it seems that with this pressure of doing as much as possible remotely, we actually found, and we are pushed into the direction to think about this and to allow this. Mm-hmm. I mean, if the regulations are then afterwards saying you can do this, but under specific circumstances you have to go on site, I believe it could be a good idea to combine both benefits of both worlds together. You know? Yes. I mean, what I mean is, of course, assessing documents on site is boring, right? Boring for the manufacturer and the people from the manufacturer. I mean, this could be, of course, done remotely, but we have to go on site to verify specific tasks. Yes. The other thing is also, I mean, that's the experience we made during the last, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years, is that all the teams, the number of people in all the teams are still increasing. And some people are only in the audit team to cover a specific subject when we are going on site. So why is it, or is it necessary that these people must be on site, or could this be done remotely? And this, of course, increases the flexibility also on the notified body side.
And that would help you with regard to the numbers of resources we all need, and so far it could improve the situation, and maybe the numbers can become better than this scenario we saw in your slides today.
Yeah, I mean, of course, when we are traveling, traveling is a big percentage of our activities. And to do this remotely, this, of course, then we are not, it's not necessary to travel. So we can use at least this time, let's say, to be more active on the auditing and technical documentation assessment side.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree, absolutely. So, Dirk, right in time. We needed now the time of the last presentation, but for me it was very good to have the opportunity to discuss. We were not sure as to whether we have the opportunity to discuss because it's the first experience with this event as an online event. But for me it was very good. It was close to the original event. However, I miss you all in person, so that's the hope for me for the post-Corona situation, that we can all meet in person again. But Dirk, whenever there are no questions, I think we can then finish the session and the day.
Yes, I would just like to thank you, everybody who participated, in particularly our speakers, of course, and you, Heike, for your chairing of the sessions. Usually in the summer academies, I ask for feedback, and I do that today, of course, also. And usually those who know me know that usually I find some kind of punishment for those people who do not answer the feedback. And that's usually like you don't get the coffee or you don't get the cake unless you fill in this
I have a coffee.
paper. Yeah, I can't do that this way this year. But what I can do is I will find a slick way of providing access to the recordings of today, also from the other session that you may want to see. but only if you fill in that feedback thing. And that's going to be circulated by email, and it's going to be online this year. I don't know how strict I'm going to be on that, but that's my threat for now. So thank you very much, everybody. And I'm sure there's going to be a Lübeck Summer Academy next year with Volker Spitzenberger and colleagues. Thank you, Heike, for how many years is it? Eight years of tremendous work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And well, maybe, who knows, maybe next year it's going to be a hybrid event, like part
mixture
of being in the media docs here in Lübeck, and another part being integrated online. Who knows? We are all learning and developing from day to day during this crisis, and I hope to see you again next year, one way or the other. Thank you very much.
And we will have a coffee together then.
Yes.